I shall now read one of the most poignant chapters in the entire poem of the man God. It is the farewell to his mother and departure from Nazareth, chapter 44 of the first volume. As you gather from the title, this is where Jesus, who until now had been living in Nazareth, who had been living in his private life, is now to go into his public life, which we see detailed much more fully in the Gospels. This vision was given to Maria Valtorta on the 9th of February 1944 at 9:30 a.m. and it says, begun during Holy Communion. I see the interior of the house in Nazareth, a room which looks like a dining lounge, where the members of the family take their meals and rest during the day. It is a very small room with a plain rectangular table near a chest, which is set against one of the walls. The chest also serves as a seat. Near the other walls, there is a loom and a stool, and there are two more stools, with a kind of bookcase, on top of which there are oil lamps and other objects. A door is open onto the kitchen garden. It must be almost evening, because only some faint sun rays are visible in the upper foliage of a tall tree, which is beginning to grow verdant in its first leaves. Jesus is sitting at the table. He is eating, and Mary is serving him, coming and going from a little door which leads into the room where there is a fireplace, the light of which can be seen through the half-open door. 2 or 3 times Jesus tells Mary to sit down and to eat with him, but she does not want to. She shakes her head, smiling sadly. After serving some boiled vegetables as a first course, she brings in some roast fish, and then some rather soft cheese, like fresh cheese, round-shaped, like the stones which can be seen in the beds of torrents, and some small dark olives. Some small flat round loaves of bread, about the size of a plate, are already on the table. The bread is rather dark brown, as if the bran had not been removed from the flour. Before Jesus there is an amphora with water and a goblet. He is eating in silence, looking at his mother sadly but lovingly. It is very obvious that Mary is sad at heart. She comes and goes purely to occupy herself. Although it is still daylight, she lights a lamp and puts it near Jesus. And while stretching out her arm doing so, she subtly caresses her son's head. She then opens a nut-brown haversack, which I think is made of pure hand-woven wool and therefore water-resistant. She searches inside it, goes out into the little kitchen garden, walks to the far end where there is a kind of storeroom. She comes out with some rather withered apples, which have certainly been preserved from the previous summer, and she puts them into the haversack. She then takes a loaf of bread and a piece of cheese and puts them also into the haversack, although Jesus remarks that he does not want them, as there is already enough food in the satchel. Mary then comes once again near the table, at the shorter side, on Jesus' left hand, and looks at him eating. She looks at him with love and adoration. Her face is more pale than usual and seems aged by pain. Her eyes are ringed and thus seem bigger, an indication of tears already shed. They also seem clearer than normal, as if they were washed by the tears welling up within, ready to stream down her face. 2 sorrowful, tired eyes. Jesus, who is eating slowly, evidently against his will, only to please his mother, and is more pensive than usual, lifts his head and looks at her. Their eyes meet, and he notices that hers are full of tears, and lowers his head to leave her free to weep. He only takes her slender hand, which she is resting on the edge of the table. He takes it in his own left hand, lifts it to his cheek, rests his cheek on it, and then rubs it against his face to feel the caress of the poor trembling little hand, which he kisses on its back with so much love and respect. I see Mary taking her free hand, her left one, to her mouth, as if to stifle a sob, and she then wipes with her fingers a big tear which has fallen from her eyes and is streaming down her face. Jesus resumes eating, and Mary goes out quickly into the kitchen garden, where it is now almost dark, and she disappears.